GTA 5 broke the Epic Games Store, and surprising to no one, Epic confirms Fortnite will be coming to the next generation. All that and more. My name is Ethos, and this is Free to Play Weekly. First off in the news this week, later this year, a new anime-styled open-world ARPG is officially launching on PC, PS4, and mobile platforms. But before any of that can happen, it has to go through one more round of closed beta testing, and presumably some open beta testing because that's just how things work after all. So last week, developer and publisher MiHoYo announced that they are now accepting signups for the final closed beta test of Genshin Impact. This test will focus on the PS4 version of the game and will introduce the cross-platform co-op mode for the first time. This mode will allow players on all three platforms to team up and take on challenges found in the world together. As with the game's official launch, the final closed beta test is not scheduled to take place until Q3 of 2020. This should give those interested plenty of time to sign up via the game's official website. Charles Darwin didn't personally coin the phrase survival of the fittest. Nevertheless, it's always associated with him for over a century, and it applies to all kinds of fields outside of the biological evolution. Most notably, video games of an overcrowded genre. Battle royales, for an instance, have been engaged in a struggle for survival for years now, and the one that bears Darwin's name has just succumbed to natural selection. Scavenger Studio, makers of Darwin's Project, announced last week that it has decided to stop developing new features for their game, with last month's update being the game's last. Despite several updates, a free-to-play transition 2 years ago, and an arrival on PS4 earlier this year, the game was unable to sustain itself, as stated by the studio founders. Servers for the game will remain online at least throughout the end of this year, so you've got plenty of time if you want to hop on in the game for PC or PS4. It's actually still reasonably populated with over 200 players on Steam, so it's not exactly a wasteland where you're totally unable to find any matches, as often as is the case with games that are placed in a similar situation. The Epic Games Store may have underestimated the demand for this week's free game offering because it appears that their site a few days ago was unable to handle the strain. In fact, the site has been waffling between being somewhat up to not letting people click to get their free game to sometimes not even responding at all. So it would seem that despite the game having been around for a good while, a lot of people would still like to have a copy of GTA 5 for free. This 7-year-old game was pretty much available on every platform and store and generally ran around $30 at this point. Of course, there were also on top of that frequent sales, so we'd all probably be forgiven for thinking that everyone who really wanted to play the game has probably picked it up by now. That said, the online feature is really popular with a lot of players, and we do have a lot of bored people sitting around at home now. Perhaps the demand probably should have been expected. Now, at the time of this video, however, it's important for me to note that EGS is fully operational now and it is functioning as it should. So if you are interested in picking up GTA 5 for free, you can just go to the Epic Games Store and obtain it and download it today for free. And it looks like this won't come as a surprise for any of us, but Fortnite will, in fact, make its way to the next generation of consoles, and it will be available at launch even. This less surprising news comes direct from Epic Games, who dropped general announcements this last week on the game's website. The post also includes a few answers to those burning questions we're all sure to have, like whether or not this is a new game or whether or not a progression from the current existing version will carry over. Answers: it's going to be the same game everyone's playing now, just modified to work on improved hardware. And current plans are to provide cross-progression support across console generations, so don't worry, you won't lose any of your stuff. Now, for any of you guys who are planning on not picking up a console right away, don't worry about that either. Epic plans to continue supporting the current generation of consoles as well. I'm also very curious with their announcement of UE5, will they actually transition Fortnite from UE4 to UE5 when the new gen drops? I think it's going to be pretty interesting. And moving on to some Valorant news, Riot had a trio of issues that they addressed in last week's Valorant developer blog. Taking up most of the space was a long discussion about Peeker's advantage and strafe shooting, which boils down to a lot of technical bits about latency, packet loss, human reaction time, and so on. Bottom line, Riot is doing everything it can to ensure that matches are on an even playing field, but there are limits to what technology can accomplish. The second topic is competitive play in queues. Notably, solo queues are not a thing because Riot wants to encourage teamwork and not discourage groupers by making them think that solo is the real test of skill. Winning matches, not individual performance, is the main primary factor in how your ranking will progress, and Valorant will try to match up equally sized groups whenever possible. Future plans for competitive play will include easier grouping with friends during placements and greater rank progression. Finally, it's everyone's favorite topic, Riot's Vanguard anti-cheat system. The software's compatibility with vulnerable software packages has been expanded, which should lead to fewer conflicts with other programs on your computer, but there will always be that one weird RGB driver that's causing problems. If there is a major conflict, Vanguard will prioritize crashing Valorant rather than your whole computer, which I guess is a better solution. And it actually makes sense because I've been trying to play Valorant for about a week now, and I would get these random error crashes trying to boot it up, and that might be because I left my RGB, I guess, program running in the background. Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, moving to the question of the week. With Epic announcing that Fortnite is coming to the next generation of consoles, and also their showcase and announcement of Unreal Engine 5, news came out that any games that currently ran on UE4 would be able to be ported over to UE5. So I'm curious, let me know in the comment section below, if you know any games that currently run on Unreal Engine 4, which one would you choose to be first ported to the brand new engine to try all the brand new cool technical tools and new graphical improvements? Let me know what game you would choose in the comment section below. And that's it for this week's Free to Play Weekly. Don't forget to check out mmobomb.com for giveaways and the latest news. My name is Ethos, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out, everyone.